All right, welcome to our first weekly press conference with head coach Lance Taylor. We'll start with an opening statement from Coach, and then we'll take questions.
Yeah, welcome back, guys. Excited to get to our 2024 season here as we're 1 week out today. Today marks 1 week until we open up at Wisconsin. Let's recap where we've been this offseason. First of all, really proud of our players, coaching staff, and support staff. One of the things that we challenged our guys with and organization with this offseason was attacking each and every single day to get better in every area. And I think that they've done that. I think that when we started with the offseason program, spring conditioning, even summer conditioning, we showed up in fall camp much further along than where we were last year, which is where you would expect us to be after year one. But really, I'm excited about the details and fundamentals of where we're at. I think our team looks like a different team. We got bigger, faster, and stronger in the offseason, really attacked our offseason program. And then we've added 3 new coordinators, which has helped bolster where we are from a technique and fundamental standpoint. So really proud of the work that our guys have put in. I think one of the things that has been noticeable is really our identity of this football team. And I would say that it comes down to leadership. Our core group of leaders came to me in the offseason and said, Coach, how can we do more? How can we be involved in helping integrate some of our new transfers and also freshman players so that they understand the standard? What our culture has been built upon. They were excited about what we did in year one, the new standard and how we raised the standard each and every day, but also the foundation of the culture that we laid. And they wanted to make sure that the new players that come in understand the Broncos standard and what it means to uphold that on a day-to-day basis. And, for me, I think one of the things I'm most proud of this offseason, when you return 17 starters, when you return 24 guys on this football team who have started in some way, shape, or form for us, didn't lose a single starter or impact player in the transfer portal. That's really hard to do in today's day and age of transfer portal, NIL, and the current world that we live in. And so to return all of those guys, I can't thank them enough for believing and buying in what we're doing, but also believing in each other. I mean, they really rallied around each other, wanted to do something special this season, believed that we can do something special, that we are building something special. And I think that commitment and buy-in really shows with all of those guys and some really good players returning. And so now we shift our focus fully to Wisconsin. Really good football team, well-coached football team. It's going to be a great opponent for us to open up the season. Our guys are really excited with the opening of our season and to really hit somebody else other than ourselves, which I think most college football teams around the country are looking forward to that. So with that, I'm excited to kick this thing off, and I'll open it up to questions.
Coach, when you talk about guys coming back and wanting to get new guys involved, bringing new guys into the fold, that eagerness, what have you just kind of seen? I mean, has it sort of shocked you or surprised you to see how eager guys are to keep building this up and keep growing it in the vision that you guys have laid out here?
Well, that's a great question, and one, as we ended year one, you always wonder how much of that is going to carry over into year two. The best teams that I've been on, it's really been that player-led leadership, that player-led accountability that really, those guys have to play between the white lines. And when they say something, it means so much more than when a coach says something. Yes, we have to set forth the mission and vision every single day. We have to lead by example in what we do as coaches and what I do as the head coach. But when they do it, it means so much more because they're around the players on a day-to-day basis. It means so much more when it comes from the locker room. And that's where I'm excited is we've got a great core group who really believes in the brotherhood that we've built in the foundation that we've laid, and they want to help lead other guys. And so, I tell you what, it's been one of the most fun groups that I've ever coached, as a whole. They're eager, they're hungry, they're humble, they want to do things the right way, and they want to take ownership and accountability in what we do this year. And so that part has been awesome. They've been one of the best groups that I've ever been around.
You get to kick off the season under the national spotlight. So just in a primetime game, how much is this program just kind of relishing in that opportunity to make a statement to the entire nation?
Our guys are excited. I mean, you want to talk about a great program, a great opportunity, week one to kick off in the national spotlight on a Friday night, FS1, really the only game on television. Unfortunately, we get a lot of that in Maction, where we're the only game on. But our guys are excited. I mean, a lot of our guys grow up in this Midwest footprint where they watch Wisconsin, a blue blood program in the Big Ten. I mean, we have 4 players on the roster who are from the state of Wisconsin. All of those kids probably grew up wishing and hoping and dreaming of playing in Camp Randall. Well, they've got an opportunity to do that. It may be on the other sideline, but I think that they're relishing that opportunity as well. And I think our guys look at it as an opportunity to go in there and it doesn't matter the opponent, but to play Bronco football and play up to our standard. I've had the chance to prepare for Coach Fickle's team several times as an assistant. He does an excellent job as a head coach, always well prepared, disciplined, hard-nosed football teams. They don't beat themselves, and again, it's going to be a great matchup. We will have to play our best and play well to have an opportunity there at Camp Randall.
Coach, after fall camp, where would you say the strengths of the team are?
Yeah, so our strengths, let's start on the offensive side of the ball. Our strength is in our leadership and our veteran experience, but really it starts up front. When you look at the offensive line and those guys that return up front, I mean, you've got Jake Gideon, you've got Addison West, you've got John Hofer, you've got Jack Sherwin. You've got a bunch of guys who've played in a bunch of football games who are returning, understand, what our standard and culture is up front. But then they have just continued to grow and learn. Coach Mendelson's done an excellent job with those guys from day one that he's been here. That's one of the areas of stability, and carryover going into year 2. Really thankful to have him back and thankful to have a bunch of those good players back. And so I think the continuity and stability in that room really shows when you watch us on the offensive side of the ball. On the defensive side of the ball, I think it starts up front again. We've got a bunch of really good players, a mix of veteran core leaders that we've brought back that played for us last year, but also some guys that we went out and, targeted in the transfer portal that we think can be immediate impact players. I mean, I think that we've got a deep group up front. And listen, the game of football is won or lost in the trenches. I've said that multiple times up here. I don't think that that's a secret. We're going to believe and continue to build our football team around that. But it's really won and lost up front. And I think on the defensive side of the ball, we've got enough guys and we've got enough depth and talent to really roll a bunch of guys. We lost one of our best players, one of the best players in the MAC, and a second-round draft pick to the Dallas Cowboys, Marshawn Nealon. And when you can retool that room and feel like you're just as strong and maybe not even better, maybe even better as a whole after losing the best player, one of the best players in the conference and in the country, says a lot about the way that we've recruited and the type of players that we brought in. And then on special teams, we bring back our leading point scorer from last year, Palmer, also our leading snapper who stepped in, started all 12 games for us, and R.J. Todd did an excellent job for us. And we've added, a couple of punters and kickers to increase the competition in that room. So really excited in all 3 phases. But I think the theme for where we're at right now is maturity, veteran experience, and leadership.
Can you share some of the names of the veteran transfer guys that you expect to really contribute this year?
Yeah, let's start on the offensive side of the ball. When you talk about transfer impact guys that you guys will see this fall, I think on the offensive side of the ball, at O-line, Quinn Murphy, who came from Notre Dame, he's going to be an instant impact guy, will help us up front. At the running back position, Jaden Nixon has done an excellent job. He came from Oklahoma State. He's got the ability to, take any run the distance and be a home run hitter for us. He's very consistent too in the small details. He will also help us in the return game. When you look outside, you've got receiver Bugs Mortimer, and you've also got, a couple of guys that we brought back, Sam Bucci, Kenny Womack, Malik Dodon. Those guys have done an excellent job. Those are returners, but with Bugs Mortimer, you've got, let's switch to the defensive side of the ball. Up front, we've got 4 guys that we think that can help on our defensive line. We've got a guy that we brought over from Iowa, Ontario, Thomas, yes, we've got 2 guys that we brought from Louisville, and Popeye Williams, also Rodney McGraw. At the linebacker, we've solidified our starters with guys that we brought back, but you brought in, Moon from Purdue, who's going to be a really good player. And then on the back end, a couple of guys that we feel like can add some depth to us. So we feel like we've added some really good players and some impact guys that you guys will see immediately.
Any other questions?
Hey, Lance. Quarterback room this year, obviously with Hayden, beginning of last year with 3 quarterbacks kind of trading off starting position spots last year. Obviously Hayden goes through spring ball as the number 1 guy, didn't do much in spring, but now coming in as number 1 guy this year. Some good freshmen there to compete with him, but I would think Hayden feels pretty good about going into the season this year compared to last fall.
Yeah, I think Hayden has really grown in a bunch of ways. I mean, one is confidence. I mean, I think when you come in and you go through the offseason, one, he had been here, built some comfortability with coaching staff and players, and then knowing that he's going to be the starter or knowing that he was going to have a great chance to be the starter going into year 2, I think breeds a lot of confidence. Coach Bell's done an excellent job really working with his technique and fundamentals, but then also tailoring what we do offensively to match Hayden's strengths. I think has been one of the best things that we've done. And so we Coach Bell came in and really assessed what we did in year 1, which was run the football really well. Our short to intermediate pass game was really good, but how could we be more explosive in the run game and pass game? How could we put Hayden in spots to play confidently and be comfortable as he moves forward and what he does well? And I think that's one of the things that we have done offensively that's really shown and will show up on game days, will be really noticeable to our fans and to those who follow us really closely, are those differences in what we're doing. But Hayden's done an excellent job. I think the guys behind him have really stepped up, and we feel like we have some depth in that room. We brought in Brock Lowry from a transfer from Indiana, who's done a nice job. Also, walk-on Mark Konechny has really done an excellent job. He started most of the spring for us. He's continued to have a good fall, and so we feel really good about where our quarterback room is right now.
You never want to see it, but obviously injuries, maybe coming up a bit this fall for you guys. How much does it injuries obviously don't help, but how much does it maybe help in fall camp to then sort of have other guys have to step up early and sort of get those reps? So, if something does come up middle of the season, they're ready for those opportunities to try and help this team succeed.
Yeah, injuries are a part of the game, and we always talk about next man up mentality. And really the thing that I've used and we've talked about a ton when you talk about injuries or you talk about that adversity you face is it an obstacle or is it an opportunity? It's really all how you look at it and how you respond to it, and really getting our team, and myself included, but our coaching staff, to look at things as an opportunity to grow and get better, not an obstacle in our way for development. And so, when it comes to injuries, that's a part of the game. When it happens, how do you get the next guy ready? How do you look at some other positions or think outside the box? Maybe a guy who doesn't play linebacker or isn't a full-time linebacker. Is there somebody else on the other side of the ball? In spring ball, we moved several offensive players to the defensive side of the ball to see whether they could help us on defense. A couple of them are still there and are going to help us on the defensive side of the ball. Josh Franklin being one of those. He was a wide receiver for us last year. We needed depth at the cornerback position and DB position. We knew that he had played in high school. We asked him to move over. He was a player who put the team's needs above his own, unselfishly went over and played on the defensive side of the ball. And I tell you what, he's going to play for us a bunch on the defensive side of the ball and the defensive backfield. And he's a playmaker, a ball hawk, a guy who has really stepped up and gained his opportunity. And so that's just one example, but that's really how we've tried to reframe it. And really it's all about how you respond to the things that happen to you instead of wallowing in self-pity or woe is me.
Would John Hofer also be a good example of that? He was a guy last year that seemed to be the first lineman in if there was an injury and got a few starts when Campbell went down.
John Hofer is a great example. John Hofer is a guy who is an unbelievable teammate, one of the best teammates in the locker room. If you had to ask anybody at any position who is one of the most selfless teammates that they have, John Hofer's name is one of the first that comes up. The way that he leads by example, he's always ready for his opportunity. He really wants to do what's best for the team, and he's always done that and been a great example and leader. He's been a guy who has been ready whenever he's been called upon, and every time that we've asked him to go in, he's made big plays for us in big-time spots. And so I'm really excited for John. He's waited and prepared for a long time for his opportunity. This is going to be a great opportunity for him in the 24 season to take that next big step to be a starter, an impact player for us. And I know he's ready, and his teammates are excited for him.
Coach, you have a pretty veteran team, and you added to that veteran sense with all the transfers that you brought in, but you did have a pretty good recruiting class, actually second in the conference, I believe. Do you see any of those freshmen playing right away, or are you going to hold on to their 4 dates and maybe use them if needed down the road?
Yeah, we're really excited in what we've done in recruiting. Recruiting is the lifeblood of your program. This was the best recruiting class since 2016. It was ranked the second, best class in the MAC. And so we're really excited about this freshman class that we've added. My mentality is anybody, we're going to create competition at every single position. And anybody who can help this football team win games, we're going to let them play for us on game day, and we're going to be smart within that in terms of making sure that we protect guys' red shirts if and when needed. But especially in today's college football, you need every single person that can help you on game days, whether it's, carving out a role as a backup, special teams guy, as a returner, as a nickel player, as a, third or fourth wide out. As a guy on field goal block. And so all of those roles are critical. Listen, there's not a playoff in football. So if you play one of the 150 plays in a football game, it matters and it counts. And so if you can help us in a significant role in one of those, ways, then we're going to find a way to get you on the field and play early. We played a lot of freshmen last year, but, there's a lot of freshmen in this class. To your question, there's a lot of freshmen in this class who are talented players who we want to find a way to get on the field.
Lance, Rob and I talked in the booth a lot about Damari Roberson last year, about his story of being out of football almost 3 years off the field, and now that he's become one of the leaders at the outside linebacker position, it seemed like he's a big part of the defensive unit this year.
Yeah, Damari Roberson, another guy, we talked about John Hofer. We've talked about several of these guys. He's been a core, linchpin in this program since he's been here. He's really been set back by injury and, multiple injuries and things that have set his career back. He had a career year last year, and what he did for us on the field. He's gotten even better this offseason. I'm really excited, and he's really taken that step and jump as a leader for our program. He's one of the voices in the locker room that guys step up and listen to. He's been here from the beginning. He does things the right way. He leads by example. They've seen what he's been through on and off the field. And you want to talk about somebody who's used adversity as an opportunity. This guy is a great example. Every time that there's been, adversity, he's used it to get bigger and stronger and faster and really, continue to propel him to where he wants to be. I think he is poised for a huge year this year. He was one of those guys that we talked about who really, committed himself first in the weight room and off-season program. He's gotten bigger, faster, stronger. He's weighing almost 215 pounds. He runs a 4.4 laser time, and so all of those, he reached new goals and new heights in the off-season program, and that is showing up on the field, and really an example of how he works every single day. So I'm excited for him. He's become one of our core leaders, and a guy that I expect to have a big year this year.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.